So here's a fun little thing. There are so many gods and goddesses and mythological creatures that are personas in this game. I know several of them are also the Goetic demons as well. Now, we have use of the Goetic demons as well in our story. And one of the things that sticks out to me about the Goetic demons is so many of them are just, well, bastardized versions of what they were in myth, right? Like the phoenix, like the literal flaming bird that is about like rebirth in Grecian mythology, is actually a demon in the Ars Goetia. Yes, Bree, here we go. So, one of the things that I like about this, that I kind of see as an inspiration, is like, what if the Goetic demons actually are these gods, these mythological creatures that have been corrupted by the Christian God and his cult? And what would they then become if you were to somehow able to like break them out of that control, break them out of that sigil? You could have a concept where, like in, yeah, exactly, Gnosticism. Well, a lot of this is based heavily on Gnosticism. Persona is based heavily on Gnosticism because Persona is also based on, it's like strictly based on the philosophy of Carl Jung. And Carl Jung based a lot of his, like the mythos that he took into his psychology, he based a lot of it on Gnosticism. Carl Jung was a Gnostic. And then turn around and Joseph Campbell, who was the man who coined the term monomyth, which our first book is named after, he coined the term monomyth because he was studying Carl Jung's philosophy and realized this is really bad for psychology, but it makes fantastic fantasy writing. And that spawned everything from like Star Wars all the way up to Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. You know, like Star Wars is a monomyth. It's the exact same sort of monomyth as Lord of the Rings. It just takes place in space. You could hypothetically replace most of the cast of Lord of the Rings with allegories from Star Wars, and it still makes sense. Put Luke in the same spot as Frodo, for instance, or Bilbo, depending on like what era you want to take from, right? And then Gandalf is Ben Kenobi, and I would probably say like Strider is Han Solo, and then Arwen would be Princess Leia. You know, and then those tropes have survived, like those tropes have been used in so many stories since before they had names for those tropes, right? Hercules' labors is a monomyth. Heck, the story of Jesus is a monomyth. So yeah, and it's weird because this has permeated so much of our culture that now we attribute these things to real people. Like this concept of, you know, men are rational and logical and women are emotional and nurturing. This comes from fantasy psychology. This comes from the tropes that were thought up by Carl Jung and then used by Campbell to write his monomyth, to write his Hero with a Thousand Faces. Hero with a Thousand Faces is about how all of these myths line up in a circle. It's almost like it's the same hero over and over and over again because they always fill their same role. And then at the cusp of me looking at all this stuff about tropes and archetypes and the effect that it has on people, The Amazing Digital Circus had to come out with episode 6, They All Get Guns, which if you have not seen the Digital Circus at all, go and freaking watch it. And especially the episode 6, because the character in there, Jax, says, we all just fit into our, what is it? We all eventually just slip into our archetypes. And it's funny how he prescribes all of these archetypes to the people in the digital circus with him, but he gets everything wrong. Because the top of the world, Jax is the center of that world, and everyone else is playing his story. He's one of those characters. And I love what they're doing with it. And that episode, there's a reason like you like so many people are talking about it, because that really was the episode that kind of blew the lid off of the Amazing Digital Circus up to this point. Like, it's just kind of being goofy, kind of psychological, sometimes creepy, sometimes deep. But that one really made the story real. So you gotta check it out.
But back to my initial point. What if instead of being demons, what the Goetic demons are old gods, old spirits, corrupted into a demonic form? Kind of like how in Persona you have the shadows, which are essentially corrupted persona, and you can break that hold over them, and they change back into their original form. That would have to basically mean, in the concept of how this game works, that, I guess the entire world, the entire living world, the world as we know it, the cognitive world, this cognition is a big part of how, like, things exist in Persona. If the enemy sees you with even a toy gun, but they assume that it's a real gun, then it works like that. If they... This is like the start of the game. This is what I always explain at the start of the game. And, the palaces are the places where that person feels like they have rule. Like Kamoshida here is the gym teacher, so he sees the school as his castle. That's why they're in a castle. What does that look like on a godly scale? The world is like God's palace in the Persona sense. And we're all trapped in this God's corrupted desires. The old gods, or the spirits, the ghosts, the yokai, whatever have you, all the things that Persona uses, come from these demonic-looking shadows. and when you break that hold over them that the ruler has, because it was the Christian God that demonized all of these creatures and turned them into demons. If you break that hold the ruler has over them, they get back what they were before. I think it might be a neat story. So maybe I could try it. Now's the time where I push the Patreon page. Patreon is the best place for you to support us directly. There are a lot of available extras that keep you entertained, including extra chapters of Monomyth and some hints to future projects as well. Right now, indie artists like us need all the support we can get, and everything you give helps keep this story and this channel alive. Ultimately, it's up to every one of you that shows up each week to watch our videos, and I really can't thank you enough. For those of you who've joined us on Patreon, I'd like to give a shout out to Emily Mastronardi, Heinrich28, Pammy Poo, JC Moreland, Shadow Fox, Charles Tam, Arya Gabari, and Lunder Lumen. Also a big shout out to our channel members, Chain Furry. You can become a channel member and get access to my weekly content before anyone else. Many a Meko Maxamako. That means many small things make a big thing.